When we talk about elder advisors on this show, you know it's about asset protection, but so much more. And that's why it's so important that you attend their free, I said it, free workshop. It's really good information. The news is good. With me now is their owner and president, Larry Weiss. Welcome back, Larry.
Hello, Kentuckiana. Hello. It's still summer.
Yep, you look fantastic.
I am dressed for you, baby, not success. I am dressed for your adoration, John Ramsey.
You got it.
Student is not technically correct.
Please
It's after
adore me.
Labor Day.
Adoration and admiration and
Thank you,
respect,
brother.
all the above. Lindsay Fleming is here, Senior VP. And there's Steve Langdon,
The humbler.
the keynote speaker, the elder law superstar.
Elder
Yes.
law superstar attorney.
You know, you've been tagged with that, Steve. How do you like that?
I hear it everywhere I go.
He should wear a cape.
It does-
How do you like that,
He
Steve?
should wear a
wear a cape.
cape. He should
You
wear
like
a
that? Elder law
cape.
superstar? Steve, he's a lawyer, because I'm not. And, you've always heard of crocodile tears. I've seen them, and it ain't pretty. Because Steve will come in, I was in the event last night. There's a couple judges and 3 partners I used to work with. They all come up, hey, elder law superstar attorney. And then he's got these crocodile tears. Gee, thanks, Larry, for kind of pegging me that. He don't mean it. He loves it. He eats
Do you
it
love
up.
it, Steve? Do you love
When
it?
you-
We'll let
when you
Steve.
say it.
We'll let Steve.
Only when
Yeah,
Lindsay.
right. Yeah.
Superstars.
Elder law superstar attorney Stephen P. Langdon, baby.
Not too shabby. Okay. This is all about really peace of mind. It's about, and I encourage you to do this, be proactive, but it's never too late,
It
right?
is
I want to
never
make
too
that
late.
clear. All right.
Never too late.
All right, so let's talk a little bit. You told me before we went on the air, you did a little tease there. You said, I had a real estate nightmare.
Yeah,
Real estate nightmare. So,
Yeah.
so that is part of, by the way, that transition of a senior loved one, into a facility is real estate sometimes is involved, right?
It is very much involved, and that's why we're doing the workshops tonight, Tuesday and Wednesday, so you don't go broke in a nursing home, because you don't have to. For husband and wife, you can keep all the assets. For a single person, about half. And when we do that, not always, but in almost every case, we do need a legal component. That's why we're delighted that Steve Langdon's joining us this month as our guest speaker, because he kind of brings the legal component together. But real estate is often very problematic, and we had a single lady. She came in, very modest assets. So, of course, I'm not an attorney. I'm just kind of looking through the file and stuff, and I see the deed, and I see that 10 years ago, mom and dad conveyed it to her daughter and her spouse at the time, and, reserving a life estate, and Steve can kind of shed more of the legal nuance on there, but that's a problem. That's a problem, because the life estate, and I'm going to let Steve dial in on the legal part, but because mom and dad deeded the property to her daughter and her spouse 10 years ago, we've got to kind of clean that up. Well, the problem is, not only do we need her daughter to convey the deed in a legal fashion, because I'm not an attorney, Steve is, he'll talk about it, but they have to convey it back to mom, but we also needed her spouse to sign. Spouse didn't want to do it. That's my house. They're not taking it. It got really ugly really fast. And Steve was involved. Remember the deal now? Yeah.
And
A couple weeks ago, there was a flurry of phone calls.
I think we talked about this a little bit with Bridget on Friday, and she brought up a really good point. There's emotional, right? This all stuff, it's legal, it's financial, and it's emotional. And, people don't plan to fail. They just fail to plan. And that's what coming out to the workshops tonight does. It gives us an opportunity, and Steve an opportunity, to kind of do a high-level overview of some of these legal nuances and the financial nuances. And you can plan for your family. You can plan for your family so there aren't these fires and crisis and disasters in the future. So
Yeah, I've actually got a case that I was working on this morning. Unfortunately, we've got stepmom, stepdaughter, husband unexpectedly passed away. Well, husband had done no planning, and now stepmom and stepdaughter aren't exactly getting along. And you want to talk about chaos and multiple attorneys involved and court costs and going to in front of the judge. That's the stuff people need to avoid. You really got to get ahead of it. That's why these are so important. These workshops are so important, because it doesn't cost you anything, just a little bit of your time, but you can get ahead of these issues to make sure that it's not if something bad is going to happen for all of us. It's just when that thing happens, that those folks you're leaving behind, they're taken care of.
Yeah, it's funny. He said something that really resonates with me. A lot of times when I think asset protection, when you're going into a senior facility, I'm thinking about the cost, and that is a big part. The facility and what it costs. But you're saying if you're not proactive, if you don't attend these workshops, you're going to spend some cost, probably a lot of legal fees.
It's a lot of legal fees, and just the stress on your body and on your soul is incredible. I mean, I'm taking phone calls at night with people crying. I'm doing everything I can to try to hold this family together, as I know, her husband and the stepdaughter's dad would want them to be together. but sometimes personalities get in the way.
Yep.
And
We've got to step in front of that.
Yep.
And I would be willing to bet dollars to donuts what Steve was talking about, a legal component. What this family did or didn't do, there's usually a little bit of the barbershop law involved there, which is, well, I think if you do this and that, you should be okay.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, that's what I heard. You know, whether it's at the McDonald's Coffee Club every morning at 9 or at the Dairy Queen when they have coffee or at church, so many people are operating under barbershop law, and it's just devastating for families. Devastating.
You guys are the experts. Let them have it.
No
give
one
them,
thing
give
can
them
do
the
it
info.
well.
Yeah.
Right. We can, you know, whether it's at the workshops tonight, I open up by asking families, you know, and I tell them they don't have to be honest with me, but I think it's important they're honest with themselves. And we kind of open up with 3 key questions. How many people have a loved one in a nursing home or about to go to a nursing home? Hands go up. That's crisis planning. The house is burning down. We can protect those assets. We can give them peace of mind. The second question is how many people have a loved one at home getting some rehab, or we're having to kind of keep an eye on grandpa because he's wandering or stuff like that? Hands go up. That's pre-crisis planning. There's things that we can do there. And the third is how many people simply want to avoid this for themselves and their family? That's pre-crisis planning, and that's actually pre-planning altogether to avoid the crisis nuance. I think Steve said he was at a workshop and they were calling it proactive planning. But get ahead of it instead of the tail wagging the dog so often, which is what barbershop law does. Get proactive. That's why we do the workshops. Don't go broke in nursing homes. You don't have to.
Yeah, Lindsay, before we go to break, and we'll continue to do this because it is important, tell them, invite them to the 3 workshops that you have. It's 3, right?
Yes,
you have 3 coming up here. Yes.
3, yes.
Here we go.
Come out tonight at the Hilton Garden Inn, right near the airport there in the university campus. That's tonight at 6. And then tomorrow morning in Clarksville at 10 a.m., that's at the Hampton Inn. And that is a great place to go there in southern Indiana. It's very close. So if you're in Kentucky, you can go to either one. It really doesn't matter which one you attend. And then we are heading west to see our friends in Corden, and we're at the Holiday Inn this time. It's a little bit bigger space. Our friends in Corden, Meade County, Crawford County, they showed up in force last time, so we're really
standing room only.
Standing room only, literally. So we moved to a slightly different, larger location. So the Holiday Inn Express there in Corden. If you're from Brandenburg, you're watching us from Brandenburg this afternoon, please come on out Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. So.
And there was a little bit of a kerfuffle last month. Lindsay believes that her dad and her mother offered to leave. That's not true. Is it Dave? Your dad, Dave?
No, Ron and B.
Yeah, I asked him to leave.
Now they've been through the process. They've done all their pre-planning, but they've never seen a workshop, so they showed up. And Larry said, "You need to leave because there's not room."
That's not really true. But that's a story we're using.
That's how full we were in Corden. So we helped a lot of people. A lot of people last month in Corden, and looking forward to helping.
But that is a good reason to make a reservation. Yeah, I mean you can show up the night of, you can, but it's a good reason to.
Freeworkshop.com.
Yep, and we're going to talk about why the news is good, because I think a lot of people, you tend to procrastinate, you put it on the back burner, and then when you find out, hey, I can actually really save money, these guys aren't kidding around, you just got to know the rules. We'll talk about those rules with Steve Langdon, our attorney, of course, with Lindsay Fleming as well, and of course Larry Weiss will be right back after these.